We here are going to be talking to Robbie Cummings. He's a BBC creator who made an amazing viral series about his life on a boat in England. It's terrific. It's all shot on mobile. We'll be speaking to him soon, but first we're going to watch a 12-minute, I think, DIY video on how he exactly shot all of this. Viral BBC creator. Him and his producer will be joining us later. Let's check out how he does his work.
Alice?
Yeah?
Can I borrow your daughter's tablet to film something?
Yeah?
Cheers. Let's go. Hello, welcome to this video. It's going to be all about how to make your own vlog using the equipment you've already got. But can we just take a second to look at this view? Absolutely ridiculous. Cameras with me that I thought might be good starting points for you if you've got just a smartphone like this. This is a iPhone SE2, so it's quite basic, but it does the job. It's got one camera, wide angle lens on that one. I've got my iPad, which has a camera on there as well, so you know, if that's all you've got, you can film straight onto your iPad. And then I've got this, which I borrowed from my girlfriend, which is an Amazon Fire. It's actually her daughter's that she uses to play her little games on. So, right, let's start with the iPhone. Let's see what we can get here of this view. This is, of course, how I would hold the phone, just like that, a landscape view. But you know, why not? If you want to make videos like that, why don't you do that? It's absolutely fine. If that's your sort of your new angle on it, why not? But here we are. This is the standard way that you would film stuff on for YouTube anyway, and yeah, so let's just see how that goes. Just film a little bit of that, and there we go. Now we're getting a little bit shaky on there, aren't we? So I think I've got this ledge here I'm just going to use to position the camera. It is a little bit windy today, so we might not be able to do this, but there we go. So if I put the phone down like that and then I press record, let's see what we get there. So I'm just going to leave the phone as it is. Hopefully that'll get a nice view. Check that out. I mean, it is a bit lopsided, you know, we're not getting everything in, but you can always move the phone. So if I move the phone now to the edge of this ledge, and I'm still positioning my hand on the outside, but I'm getting some stabilization from the stone itself. So if I can just do that, I mean, I could do a tilt here. I can go from the canal up to the hills in the distance. That's a nice shot. And then in reverse, could do that. Or you could do it really quickly to have some kind of, like, I don't know, ending to the video. Something you might not be able to get hold of because they don't make them anymore is this case. You can get rubber cases for things. I really recommend them because obviously they're better than plastic because they'll eventually degrade quicker, aren't they? So slightly more eco-friendly. And also, yeah, it's just, you've got that solid edge that you could just prop up anywhere. Let's see what the iPad can do. I have to admit, this is the first time I've ever used my iPad to film anything, so I don't know what the results are going to be. Probably a bit shaky because there's just so much of it to hold, isn't there? So it's really hard to keep that steady, especially in one hand. Let's put it down somewhere and see what we can do. Yeah, as you can see, even with my hand holding it down, it's a little bit too windy, so it's just shaking all over the place. Let's go down the hill and see if we can find the lock or something else to play around with. Before we walk down the hill, this is the view from the Amazon Fire cam, and it's okay. It's just a little bit wobbly, isn't it? So it needs to be propped up against something. Just as we're walking down to the canal, I can point out where it sort of cuts through. It comes from that way, under the Gauxham Viaduct there, all the way down there, and carries on that way. So that way is where you get to Rochdale and then Manchester, and that way is Sorby Bridge, Halifax, Leeds, so, you know, that side of the country. The reason I tend to avoid using tripods is that I've got my camera with me all the time. I don't necessarily have my tripod on me all the time. And if I'm jumping out of a lock, you know, I'm on the canal, on my boat, it's dangerous to carry all this equipment with you. So the safest and quickest way for me to get a shot sometimes, especially if something's happening and I've just got to capture it, is by using an action camera like a GoPro or this iPhone here. I also feel really strongly that if you are struggling to be creative, or if you're stuck like that somehow, it's best to really pare everything back to the bare bones of, like, just to try and restrict yourself so that you haven't got too many effects to play with. You haven't got too many little gizmos that are going to take time out of your creative energy, take the energy out of your creative process. So if you've only got one camera to worry about, your mind is so much freer to think about the camera angles and telling the story, which is obviously the most important thing. Now, a shot like that, I could have missed it if I had a tripod. And luckily the stabilisation on this camera is just enough that you could be forgiving that I haven't mounted it. But yeah, with a lot of cheap cameras, if you're moving the camera around, it's difficult to get a nice picture. So I think I'd definitely recommend having a still shot rather than trying to move it around all over the place. So let's get back to what you can substitute a tripod for. Well, walls like this, absolutely fantastic. Just putting your phone on top of there, or even, you know, just down into some kind of crevice where you can rest it, is just, you know, that's perfect like that. But there are still some pretty cool effects you can get going. So if I just press record there, we can start the camera like that and tilt up. And actually we've also got a little bit of pull focus in there as well from the autofocus, focusing on the stone. Beautiful. I'm going to leave sound for another vlog about vlog production, because it is so important, but I don't want to get into it right now, so forgive me for that. But if you've got any questions about anything that I'm mentioning in this video, drop it into the comments below. Down on the canal itself now, and I've just spotted one of these mooring bollards, and these are quite good to put your whatever camera you've got on top of, but when it's windy that will fall off. So what we could do is place it down here, and then we can get the whole hill in, because we've got all these dandelion seeds flowing around, and that's quite a cool thing to see, and especially with the light coming down from the top there, it should look pretty cool. A lot of what I shoot isn't perfect. You've got to try and let go of perfectionism if you want to, well, be consistent and keep making vlogs and being creative with it as well. And sometimes you come across brand new techniques you haven't thought of just by accident, because you haven't been so worried about doing it the proper way. Back on Firecam, we've got a problem here because the camera's not actually that great in direct sunlight, like most cameras. It can't adjust to that harsh light, and this harsh sunlight is causing a lot of shadows on my face. So one tip to do is just to move into the shade, and there we go. That should be much, much better. But the stabilisation on this camera is awful. if you are stuck for a proper camera, you have to use your girlfriend's child's Amazon Fire thingy, tablet, then, you know, make a joke of it, because it is difficult to put humour into vlogs, to force it in. You just always say never try and be funny, because the humour will surely come out of whatever mishaps happen whilst you're telling your story on camera. Right, this lock is perfect to show you some of the ways that I get around not having a tripod and not having all the best equipment. So I think we'll start with the one that's furthest away, which is my iPhone, and that's getting a lovely little shot of some daisies with the lock in the background. And you can see that I've just kept it from falling over with some sticks. So whatever you've got to hand, you can just use to prop it up. I could have put it on against that bollard, or even on top of it, on top of the lock gate. Moving back to where I was, I've got my incredibly expensive iPad in the dirt here, leaning against a bollard and just looking along the lock. So that might work if the boat was coming in, might look quite good. And then right here on the lock itself, I've got Alice's daughter's Amazon Fire, the Fire Cam, and that's just there on the lock gate itself, being propped up by one of these metal brackets here. That's just filming a nice little shot across the lock of all the dandelion seeds and blossom falling into the lock. Nice. Now when I'm filming for the BBC especially, I do use tripods a lot more. We try and make time for it, because you just want that extra professional touch. So if you don't have one of these cases where you can lean it up against something else, or if you've got a camera like an SLR that you would have to mount on something, I can recommend these magic arms. There's one here just filming on my my SE2 camera. So it's obviously that's set up for an iPhone, but you can get adapters for this that would allow you to put any sort of camera on it really, as long as it had one of those mounts. And that, we're getting a nice shot there, very stable. You do occasionally make mistakes. My biggest mistake is usually chopping the top of my head off, you know, and that's because I'm not holding my camera away from myself enough. You know, I'm not doing the framing. I don't know if you noticed, but I never use the monitor side of it, you know, the selfie camera side. Always use the front. That camera's 12 megapixels. It's better than the selfie camera, so why wouldn't I use it? It just takes a little bit of practice framing yourself and making sure that you've, you know, got the nice background behind you, and yeah, you don't sort of, you know, it's all about the angles of course, but yeah, making sure you've got enough space from the camera to your face is your main goal. And sometimes, yeah, you could use that to get your extra little bit difference, or a selfie stick or something like that would help you get enough of that distance that you need anyway. Because of course the problem with the selfie cam is that you're always sort of checking yourself out. And then I don't know if you've noticed, but if you've watched any TV recently and the celebrities recording themselves on these front-facing cameras, a lot of the time they look a bit sort of like they're not even looking at you, a bit boss-eyed almost, because they're staring at themselves in the camera. Vain, very vain. Right, I think I'm going to walk back now. In my last video I joked that it's, you know, you get 1 hour of exercise and that's it. Of course that is just something that the cabinet minister said in a TV interview, so you can have as much as you like apparently, as much exercise you like, but this is my work. Vlogging outside is my work, so trying to keep those bills paid. With thanks to my Patreon supporters, my Crank It crew members. This week I'd like to add Victoria Brown to my logbook. Welcome to the Crank It crew, Victoria. And then I've got Darren Ings. Cheers for your support, mate. There you are in the book. And then I've got Ben Watmer, who rejoins the crew. And because, mate, you've been such a long-term supporter of the video, I've actually put you in twice. Here's your second time in the logbook. And finally, I've got Ken Boak. Ken is going in the logbook as a producer, so I've got to add some little red flags by the sound of his name. Ken, thanks so much for supporting the videos, and I do hope you and your boat in Hebton Bridge are well and good. Cheers! This is actually probably the hardest thing for me to film in the vlogs, is the names going to the book. I don't want to get them wrong, because I've got one shot at it, just writing the names. Right, so as I'm making my way back home to my girlfriend's house, I'm going to give you a few more tips along the way, and also some homework coming up for anyone who's wanting to do this themselves. Try something different. I haven't tried this before. Look at me, I'm just lying down in front of a real nice shot. Will it work? I have no idea, but just try something new, try something a bit mad. Another tip is to keep that lens clean, so just give it a wipe every now and then. Shoot from the hip and see what kind of moments you capture. A lot of the time I just leave the camera running, because sometimes you go into tunnels or whatever like this and the sound changes and something unexpected happens, and it can be quite magical. For this shot, I'm just literally resting the phone against the brickwork of this bridge. So that might be quite a good idea. And then this way I am tilting sideways out until I reach the canal, and it should focus on the canal. I think the biggest tip I could give you is just don't make excuses. Don't try and think, well, I've got to buy the best camera I can find, or I could, spend hundreds of quid on editing software. Just use what you've got. Use what you've got now, and just see where it takes you. Right, towpath's getting a little bit busy now, so I'm going to have to take a shortcut and get back home, but I just want to leave you with some homework. So if you're not doing anything and you fancy having a go at making your own vlog, I want you to film a 2-minute piece. Don't worry about editing it, just put something all together from start to finish, even if you're just moving your phone around your home or whatever, and just tell me what you want your videos to be about. What's your sort of background, what your name obviously is, and what equipment you're using as well, and tweet that to me at Robbie Commin, and I'll have a look through them and we'll make a video out of your submissions. How about that? Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching this vlog, and keep on cranking it. I thought I might add this on to the end of the video, because since editing I've decided that although I did get some good shots with the iPhone SE 2, especially nice landscapes like that, some of what I filmed was really disappointing. Look how out of focus that is, and just the colours are lacking. So I'm afraid that is going back to Apple and getting my 550 quid back, which I actually need to pay my Canal River Trust licence, so there we go.
And welcome back to the MOJO Conference 2020. We're doing the last rounds of masterclasses, of interesting talks of speakers, and we're being joined here by the audiovisual wonder you've just seen. Joining us from the Great British Empire is Robbie Commin. Robbie, welcome. Where are you? Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you just about. We're driving. I'm with my family. So this is aside from what I do on the narrowboat. We're in the car, so it's a bit strange for me. But we're going through the Midlands, middle of...
I see you have a co-driver with you as well?
Yeah, so in the back, you want to see the cutest thing you've ever seen. That's my 3-year-old stepdaughter sleeping, and her mother, Alice, is driving. My girlfriend, Alice.
Okay, well, you stay safe on the road for a few seconds, because we'll be watching just a small clip, a small fragment of the series for BBC you've been working on that is nothing short of exceptional. It's truly an honor to have you here, because the series you've worked on is really a showcase of how intimate yet all-encompassing mobile filmmaking can be. We're watching a clip right now. This is from BBC Sizzler.
something like this off the
Mijn geluid nog
propeller
harder voor mij?
when you can't really see what you're doing is pretty hard. There's no central heating, there's no microwave, no big flat screen TV. So for me, it has meant that I've scaled back on all the things that you think you need. Well, I did once get a lady's bra stuck around the propeller, but there we go. Oh man, an old pair of long johns. Lovely. This is Marple Aqueduct. Took 7 years to build, and unfortunately 7 men died building it. I'm not just living on a boat because it's cheap. Right now I'm thinking that I can't move back into a house because I'm on this journey. I haven't finished yet. There are so many more canals to explore. This is what it's all about, seeing unique sights like this. Who are the people that I'm going to meet? Where am I going to moor? And what's the history of the place that I'm going to? What haven't I seen before? And there's always something you haven't seen. The Great Wall of Todd. Why go to China when you can have it all right here in Yorkshire? This is definitely the smallest tunnel I've ever been in.
Right, mate.
Well, we've finally done it. Some people think it's very romantic, other people think it's disgusting. Locks can be really dangerous places. If you're not concentrating, you could potentially lose your boat or your life in some cases. I'm just really hoping that I don't get any water in the front of the boat, because once that happens, boat fills with water, game over. The boat is going to go to the bottom of this lock. Oh, that's good. Not many boats travelling today. Although it's summer, when it's like this, you just want to stay inside and get a bit warm. It's a windy welcome, but I've arrived at my destination. This is Salthouse Dock in Liverpool. Made it! What an achievement. I've encountered the most challenging canals that I've ever come across, seen the most beautiful scenery and mooring, and met some amazing people along the way. This has been a journey to remember.
Yeah, Robbie, we've all just been watching your trailer, again amazed by the life you've been living there on the small boat. Tell us a little something about the first time you picked up a camera.
I think that had to be when I was growing up. We were quite a poor family, so we didn't have access to any cameras at all. But I managed to get one from school, and I borrowed it for a little while. Well, I borrowed it for a little bit too long, and they had to try and ask back. But I was editing. It's an old film, but I was editing on the camera. Like I was obsessed in getting little snippets of things.
Wow, and did you already like feel when you went on to live on this boat? Did you immediately sense that there was a story to be told here, or was that not the case?
When I went to live on the boat, sorry, can you repeat that bit a little bit?
Yeah, so you live on a boat, and did you immediately decide that's a story worth telling, or did someone else inspire you?
I mean, there are aspects of being on the boat that really lends itself to filmmaking. You're traveling along at a really even pace, and so the filming you're doing is it's almost like you're on one of those tracks with the camera. So I'd spent 1 year on the boat. It wasn't my goal to make films at that point, but it was my goal to connect with other people. And I realized that I had to do that through filmmaking and releasing YouTube videos, getting the comments, all that sort of stuff. You know, that's I was on my own on the boat, so I needed company somehow.
Wow. Now, maybe a too direct of a question, but I am wondering, what do you think is behind the success of all this? Why do people like watching the life you live on that boat?
It's obviously very different to normal, like living in a house. It's the unique canals that we have in England. They're different, aren't they, to the ones in Europe and the ones you're in Holland right now. I mean, that's when I was growing up. Where are you based right now?
We're right now in the beautiful city of Hilversum in the Sound and Vision Institute of the Netherlands. But I live in Amsterdam. We have beautiful canals there.
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I used to think about the Netherlands. There was a book, a child's book, I think, The Cow That Fell in the Canal. I don't know if you have that one. But yeah, but I think the difference is our canals are thinner. There's so many factories around, old buildings that you can still see, and people are they love to see the industrial heritage, is what it's called, canal archaeology, old decrepit buildings that are falling down. People love it somehow.
Yeah, something about it is amazing. You may call me a cultural swine, but honestly, I mean, I've been to England before, but I've never seen these inland waterways. They're beautiful.
It's very easy to miss, even if you're walking around London, where there's a really quite a major canal that goes through. Yeah, it's very easy because they're all hidden away. So it's a hidden world, and people, I think, are really drawn to seeing things a new way of life that they might not have seen before.
Right, and that's something very special happened with you vlogging your life on the small boat, and that is that it was picked up by the BBC and they turned it into a television series. Now, tell me, why do you how did that even come from? Was it a phone call? Did they email you? How did you first get in contact with these people?
It was very much the right place, the right time. The department making the programs for BBC4, they decided they really want to make something completely different. I was already making programs for YouTube, I was already making in the sort of similar format. So my producer, he loves narrowboats, he loves canals, he's already got that interest. So I was lucky to have that person who already has the knowledge, and he's already been watching my videos. So he went to his boss, the executive producer above him, and said, if you're looking to make something different, I might have something for you. And then it was just a simple phone call, and yeah, the rest is history in a way.
Yeah, where were you when you got the phone call? What do you think of it? Were you immediately enthusiastic?
I was actually at quite a low point in my life on the boat. So I was about 3 years into it, and there were so many jobs that I needed to do, and my toilet tank was being repaired, and that's not a nice thing. I was living down one end of the boat, the paint was falling off the outside, and I said to the producer when he did come to see my boat, I said, are you sure you want this on TV? Because it's a mess right now. But he said, yes, that's exactly what we do want to see, because it's real.
And was it difficult to share these intimate things? I mean, if my toilet is leaking, I'm not the first person to grab a camera and vlog it.
Yeah, well, actually, that helps me when I'm in a sticky situation, when I'm having trouble on the canal. I can just get my phone out and almost imagine there's someone else watching. But interestingly, I found it was easier to open up on BBC, because on YouTube there's an immediate feedback, isn't there? So it was almost easier. I knew that people weren't going to react to it until at least 4 months later.
Right, and it goes through a big process of like, before it's broadcasted, it takes a couple of months, but then the first reactions start leaking in, like people come to you and react to you about the show you've made. What were those reactions like?
It was so positive, and I'm so very lucky, because obviously, especially if you're on Twitter, a lot of things get said, don't they, that perhaps aren't very nice.
Oh no, Robbie, did you make the mistake of actually looking at the tweets about your show? You should never do that, trust me.
Hashtag Canal Boat Diaries. They were all there, so I did make the mistake of well, it wasn't a mistake, because in the end I saw that the majority of people loved it, and it was just yeah, I'm very lucky for that.
I mean, I'm guessing you probably got the weirdest letters. I mean, people probably wanted to buy the boat from you or something, right? Or live with you there.
Yeah, I thought, hey, I'll be able to sell the boat quite easily, but no, that hasn't happened.
Okay, well, if anyone in our audience is watching and wants to buy a small boat in England, we'll make sure to contact you. Robbie, would have been possible for the BBC to shoot this in the classical way that they do all the big TV shows they produce?
No, this is completely different. I don't think there's been a program before this that has been made in the same way. So although there are a lot of BBC journalists going around with iPhones and filming with GoPro cameras, for example, they hadn't done it like this. This is a vlog that's on TV, and I'm an unknown person. I'm not famous. I've just got a boat. I'm sharing my own life, but I'm also presenting as well. I'm also saying, oh, this is the history of this building here. So it was a real complete different way of doing it. And I actually even started out editing some of what you've seen just now on that clip on the boat itself. So I don't think that's happened before.
No, wow. Tell me about the physical side of things and the practical side. I mean, there's a lot of cameras involved, there's data involved, you have to transfer that data, you have to back up that data. What did the equipment setup look like?
I think in terms of TV production, it's actually quite simple. We had, for the first series, we had one GoPro camera, one iPhone camera. The iPhone camera has a microphone on it, so that always good sound. And the GoPro camera had like a little clip, so we could clip it to the boat to get a real steady shot going in. And then we had drone pilots who we just choose whatever the local drone pilot was. We'd ring them up, come along for 1 day a week, and they'd film. They would transfer their files to us, and then we'd also have files to transfer via their laptop that I had on board. So it's quite simple. No cloud storage. It was all hard copies being stored. And then I might edit some of my footage just so it's on the timeline. And we'd use Final Cut Pro. The rest of it would get fine-tuned by other people.
We have an international audience of people that create mobile films that know how it is to work with film. I'm guessing that everyone now is holding their heart at the thought of data loss when you're on a boat and you're shooting such precious material. Did any of that happen?
It has happened to me before, and actual fact, about a month before I got the call from the BBC, I thought I'd saved everything in the iCloud, and then I had to reset my phone, and I realised I hadn't. It just saved the thumbnail image.
Oh, Robbie, no. My God, dude.
Yeah. Has this happened to you before as well?
It happens every year to every maker, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, you do end up losing things. That's what happens. You know.
Yeah. Now, what did you learn from bringing this project to national television? What did it elevate for you?
What do you mean? Did it change things for YouTube?
Yeah. Has it inspired you to become a different maker? I mean, you've worked with one of the most professional teams on earth, I believe.
Yeah, certainly in the Canal TV program world, yes. So I learned so much. I mean, I hadn't even used a GoPro camera much before, so even that was, a learning about that. But yeah, fine-tuning, honing my skills using the iPhone was most important to me, and it has changed how I see YouTube as well. So I think my YouTube videos have gotten a little bit better, and the one you guys saw earlier on about
the DIY
tips,
film, yes.
Yeah, that's come as an immediate. That's happened because I'm able to give that expertise that I've learned from the TV show. Yeah.
Now, what is this? I mean, you're in the car now. What is the status of the boat? How is it looking?
Yeah, so I'm slowly trying to move the boat back up to where my family is, up north, in the north of England. And it's where I actually met Alice, my girlfriend, in one of the filming locations on episode 4 of the first series. so my life has changed a lot since then. But yes, the boat is, fingers crossed, it's still where I left it.
Fingers
Oh,
crossed
now
here.
be dropped off after this, and I'm going to go back to the boat. I wish I could take you there with me, but it will be much later.
Ah, unfortunate. Now, what does the future
Yeah.
hold for you? I mean, I'm guessing that you've got the bug of broadcasting, so probably something new is coming here.
Who knows? I mean, maybe I should get an agent, and they can look at other jobs for me and haggle with the contract side of things. But I think we might possibly do another series of the Canal Boat Diaries, so that would make it 3, and that would be amazing for someone who was told at school, don't bother following your dreams, just do go to a shop, work in a shop or in a bank. It's amazing. So I'm very grateful for whatever comes next. But YouTube is my most important thing because it's what keeps me going creatively, but also I have some income from it as well.
Yeah, and your YouTube channel has gathered such an audience. I'm really in awe of it. Tell us something about what are the stories that are left to be told? Like, what is something that you're eager to still show us that you haven't been able to show in the series?
Oh, well, I guess right now. I mean, I'm traveling in my car with my family. It's not something that I'd be allowed to do for YouTube or TV. But with documentaries, you're only showing a small slice of life anyway. It's not possible to show absolutely every angle. It would just make things too complicated for the viewer. But yes, I'm really excited to do more YouTube videos about continuing work on my boat, so improving, showing people more about what it's like to live on a boat, but also the history around me. And the more I get to know the canals, the more I can share with people.
Yeah. Well, Robbie, I reckon there will be like a big effect from your show that people will probably be buying more narrowboats, and you'll be joined. The waters will be crowded, I believe.
Well, I have been told that in the past. Yeah, you're the reason why I got this boat, So I said, well, I hope that's a good thing, and don't come to me when it sinks or.
Man, I'm in awe of you as a storyteller. I think you've really created an amazing series. If people want to follow you, if people want to see what you're up to next, where should they do that?
I think my website is robbiecoming.com, but I guess YouTube is the place. If you search for Robbie Narrowboats, you'll find me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
Nice.
just arrived at our location here, so I don't know if this is a good place to end the call.
That is right. Thank you for joining us today. We're madly excited about what you're coming up next, and well, have a terrific day. Good luck with the boat as well.
Thank you so much, and it's wonderful to be a part of your event. I hope it goes well.
Thanks, Robbie. Wow,
Great.
and then from on, what a fun guy, really. And I cannot stress enough how the series you made is truly it is mind blowing. I'm a big fan of the Antiques Roadshow, and just that same narrow-minded, detailed-oriented vision on life and on what reality could be like the interest in all the details is very, very beautifully done. So I recommend watching it.